Hey, how's it going, guys? Back again. Figure I'd do a contest video today. Actually, there's several contests going on, but I figured I'm going to do this. I'm going to merge two contests into one because this is kind of I guess, a character I've wanted to make a video on for a little while to kind of try something different, but I figured why not try to tie a couple contests into it because there's so many going on right now, and I don't want to make multiple videos on the same topic, so getting into the contest descriptions, this video will be on a contest entry for JLS Comics. He's having a 2,000 subs giveaway, and his rules are be 18. Yeah, I'm still over 18. Sucks. Subscribe. Of course, I've already been subscribed. Link the video, which I will, of course. And he wants me to describe my favorite story and why, which the next contest will kind of describe why I'm picking this story. So I'm also making this video for rwheatley0206. He is celebrating 100 subs with a contest, so thank you guys for hosting these contests. It's very generous of both of you, and you both make great videos. I've been subscribed for a little bit, and I do want to shout out JLS Comics. His recent videos that are kind of like the history comics and that stuff, I wish I could make videos half as good as that, so my hat's off to you, sir. Anyway, R. Wheatley 0206's rules are, he wants me to talk about my favorite character, who do I influence in my family, and under 100 shout out, under 100 sub shout out. So let's go ahead and start with the shout out. I want to shout out Lyndsey's Geeked Out Knacks. As bright as I'm recording this video, she's at 99 subs, so I'm sure by the time I upload it and everything, she'll be rolling over to 100 and passing me in subs in no time. Check her video. I think she's actually started doing some contests of her own for 100 subs already, which I'll probably be making one of those right after this. So like I said, by the time this gets uploaded forever, it'll probably she'll end up rolling over 100 in no time. So there's that. Who do I influence in my family? I don't have any kids. I think I influenced my little nephews a little bit. They both came to Easter wearing like Captain America t-shirts and stuff like that. And then my brother, we go to cons together a lot. I think we kind of influence each other to buy different types of books and that type of stuff, and just to kind of, keep each other into the hobby. I know he just had a kid last October, so obviously his priorities have been on family instead of books and stuff, which is obviously the right thing to do. But, I think, whenever he can take his mind into his disposable income, I guess. I think it usually just goes right into comics, but like I said, he doesn't have too much time for that, unfortunately. But we will be going to a con in September together, so looking forward to that. So anyway, without further ado, getting into the whole, point of these videos and why I'm doing them, I wanted to talk about Hal Jordan, my favorite character. So here is the first Green Lantern book I ever bought. It was because of the Reign of the Superman storyline. I didn't really know anything at all about Green Lantern up to this point. And actually, I think it was because I bought this book, which was, luckily back in the day, DC had these like numbers, so you could tell which Superman book you needed to buy, because they, instead of like having all four of their books run individually, they kind of just ran together and with different creative teams, obviously. So Man of Steel would have been the number 29th Superman book to come out that year that you needed to read. And this one, Superman 82, which would have been the 30th book you needed to read. So if you go through 30, which this is supposed to be the end of the reign of the Superman, which I think we all know what that is by now, so I won't go too much into that. And then the other hint that I need to get a Green Lantern issue was Green Lantern is actually on the cover right there, which he was in issue 29 of the Reign of the Superman run, but I probably picked these up together since they all came out pretty close, so I'm like, why is this guy on? He's not Superman. So I was kind of just wondering that as a kid, why he was on there. And the very first page, it says, stop. Don't read this until you've read Green Lantern 46. So I'm just like, wait, what? Now I gotta go back to the shop or try to, like, I think this is still while I was, purchasing stuff in, like, grocery stores and stuff. So I had to dig deep for this issue. And this was a little bit of a spec book way back in the day. I think, like, if you read Wizard and that type of stuff, this is always, like, on their Wizard top 10s for a little bit because, Usually, if you had your pool list going for the Reign of the Superman, you'd have your 4 main titles, and then this one was just kind of out in the left field. So this is a very dark story to start on Green Lantern. Basically, Mongol and Cyborg Superman get together, destroy Coast City to build their base on top of it. So while Hal's on an intergalactic mission, he comes back to find Coast City is just basically not existent anymore. So that was, like I said, very interesting way to start learning about the character. And I do apologize during this video. I'm probably going to be flipping through the short box of Green Lantern books I've got. So then I was interested in getting the Green Lantern books because I was primarily reading only the Superman family books at the time. So once I roll across these, I decided I had to have them. So here's Green Lantern 48. It started the Emerald Twilight storyline, and I've got this one signed by Daryl Banks and Ron Mars. This is that storyline where Hal Jordan starts to go evil a little bit. And then here's 50 and 51. And this is the first time that Kyle Rayner was the Green Lantern. And it's this issue where kind of things start going crazy. Hal is basically battling Sinestro and all of the Green Lantern Corps, and by the end of it, he obviously is stripped of being a Green Lantern, so that's where, the 90s-ification, I guess, of the DC titles happened here with the Green Lantern title, is, they're kind of subbing out all their people. Like, so what happened to Superman, they brought in new characters to replace him for a while. The same thing happened with Batman, Wonder Woman. So Green Lantern was no exception. Hal Jordan gets replaced with Kyle Rayner for pretty much the duration of the 90s on that. So I didn't really read too much Green Lantern after that. And no offense to the Kyle Rayner character or the fans out there. I like Kyle Rayner as much as anyone else. I think he's a great character as well. But he was just never Hal Jordan to me. So I guess fast forward to 2006. I was a pretty big Jeff Johns fan from his work on Teen Titans. I'd read a little bit of his Flash stuff, but mainly the Teen Titans run I really enjoyed from him. So, of course, when the book Green Lantern Rebirth was announced, I knew I had to hop on board of that because he was going to do the character right. So I was very interested to see how they're going to bring Hal Jordan back, because in between this book and here's Green Lantern Rebirth #1, which I have signed by Jeff Johns and Ethan Van Sciver, a lot of crap happened to the corpse of Hal Jordan, let's just say. He became the Spectre somehow. Like I said, I didn't read all those books. I think he got killed I'm sorry, I'm rambling all over the place, I know. I think he got killed off during 0 Hour. After that, no, I'm sorry, he didn't get killed off during 0 Hour. He was completely turned evil during 0 Hour. And then Final Night, he kind of turned good again, sacrificing himself to turn back on the sun. And then after he did that and kind of redeemed himself, he chose to become the Spectre. So I believe that's where Green Lantern Rebirth comes in. And this is a really good story. Like I said, Jeff Johns is one of my all-time favorite writers, and I'll get to that up more in a second. But I really respect Johns after Rebirth just because, like I said, a lot of random crap happened to the Hal Jordan character, even though he was shelved more or less for most of the 90s. And Jeff Johns is really good at taking a lot of just crappy elements and molding them together into a very impressive story and trying to make sense out of things that don't make sense. Like, for instance, they kind of describe that Hal Jordan was evil because he was infected with the Parallax-type symbiote creature, which he eventually goes more into in his Green Lantern tales. So I thought that was, pretty good. That way he doesn't just come back and be good for no reason to make people happy. There is a reason Hal Jordan is the classic Hal Jordan by the time he comes back. And even made his temples gray, so that's why I had the gray temples in the 90s, is because of Parallax. So I like how Jeff Johns even had the wherewithal to explain that as well. So let's go ahead and show the rest of the issues. So this is issue 2. And I love these Ethan Van Sciver covers. This is some of the finest art I think he has ever done. Here's number 3. And here's number 4. And I believe this is the issue that I remember was one of the coolest parts. Yeah, because it has a Green Arrow wearing the power ring. So there's a really cool part in this one where Green Arrow has to use the power ring. And he's having a really tough time using it, obviously. The only thing Green Arrow can manifest with the power ring is one single green arrow. And it barely works, of course, because he doesn't have his bow and arrow on him. He has to try to use something else. So that just kind of shows the amount of willpower and, you know, fearlessness that you have to have using the Green Lantern ring, that the fact that, you know, a well-known awesome superhero like Green Arrow couldn't even harness its power. So that kind of just made all of the Green Lanterns look a lot more impressive to me in this issue here. So here's number 5. And then number 6. And like I said, I think I have all of these signed by Ethan Van Sciver, which I'm very glad to have these. So this was just kind of a mini series for start point for this Green Lantern volume, the Jeff Johns, Carlos Pacheco, and Ethan Van Sciver run. I kind of wish they would have just made Green Lantern Rebirth Green Lanterns 1 through 6, and this would have been issue 7. But you know how comic companies work. So, in my opinion, these are the first 6 issues of this run, because they kind of just mold together. I think this came out right after 6 anyway, so I'm not sure why I guess it's just sales boost on this comic, because not many people would have bought this if it was in issue 7. So, but anyway, getting into my favorite comic story ever, one of them. I'll probably have a favorite comic story tomorrow, but I just wanted to talk about the Sinestro Corps War. So I just took out the regular Green Lantern run. This also ran through Green Lantern Corps, but that's dug in another box behind me, and I'm going to mess up one box pretty good here in a second. I didn't want to mess up 2 and have to resort 2 boxes. But this book, this sold me on Green Lantern completely. Like, I was getting Rebirth because I like Jeff Johns, not necessarily because I was a huge Green Lantern guy yet. And then obviously I had to get an issue 1 just because it was an issue 1 back in the day. And it was an Alex Ross cover. I should have, gave Alex Ross a little bit of credit there. It was just an awesome cover. But this story right here, I knew this was Jeff Johns planting the seeds into something much, much bigger. But anyway, in this story, basically, Sinestro decides he is very tired of the way the Green Lantern Corps operates its business from a law enforcement standpoint for the universe, more or less. So he decides to go rogue and create his own Sinestro Corps, which instead of using willpower to control the rings, they instill fear in their enemies. Basically, they have the main difference between the 2 corps is at the beginning of this, the Sinestro Corps has authorization to kill however they see fit, whereas the Green Lanterns do not. So this gives them a huge edge right off the bat in battling the Green Lanterns. And on top of that, he has recruited Cyborg Superman, which he's on the cover right there. And I think he also controls like all the Manhunters. Basically, they're like alien robots that are extremely powerful. But he recruits Cyborg Superman by promising if Cyborg Superman helps him defeat the Green Lantern Corps, he will kill him. Which, if you guys don't know about Cyborg Superman, he's kind of like an evil version of Reed Richards, more or less. He went into space with his family, and there was a huge accident. Instead of getting the Fantastic Four type powers, his whole family got killed, and then his consciousness got absorbed into a computer. So Cyborg Superman's ultimate wish, more or less, to ultimately simplify this, is to pass and be with his family, but he cannot because his consciousness is trapped inside a computer. So it's really warping with his mind and his morals and everything. So Sinestro basically promises Cyborg Superman that, hey, if you help me defeat, take over the universe and defeat the Green Lantern Corps, and we can rule the universe, and you can die. So that's some pretty deep storytelling to me right there, within a couple pages of this. It's either that or I got the Sinestro Corps special on my wall. I didn't take it down, but obviously that's an excellent issue too, and that's part 1. This is part 2, Green Lantern 21. It's the first part. It takes place in the ongoing run. And then also he recruits Anti-Monitor. He basically brings him back from the dead from Crisis on Infinite Earths. That's all he really needed for me alone to, prove that he was going to be a bigger power than the Green Lantern Corps, is the Anti-Monitor. So, and then Superboy Prime's in there from, the end of Crisis on Infinite Earths and Infinite Crisis. Jeff Johns was really using Infinite Crisis to build Superboy Prime up. So they basically, the Sinestro Corps breaks him out, so they automatically get to recruit him after that too, even though he's not going to be the best guy to work with by the end of all of this because he's a nutcase. So yeah, just a lot of... Oh, and of course, Parallax gets put into Kyle Rayner, so then they basically get Parallax / Kyle Rayner on their team too. So right in the first 2 issues, the deck is heavily stacked against the Green Lanterns. And then this, by the way, this one is signed. I think actually all these here are signed by Ivan Rice, the artist of this, which a little bit underrated in my opinion. I know he has a lot of work he gets, put into in DC Comics, but not a lot of people talk about his work in the community. I think he's an excellent artist. So here's issue 22. And like I said, this also went through Green Lantern Corps. And actually, DC got a little bit of flack during this because they also had like the Amazon's attack storyline going on. It was like, that was built up as the main like big tie-in title you had to get at the time while this was going on. And everyone reading this is like, why isn't this its own thing? Like, it doesn't make sense to take, a story that is not good, make that your big tie-in event book, and then this is contained within Green Lantern titles for the most part. And this is 10,000 times better, more memorable than Amazon's Attack. So a lot of people gave DC a lot of flack for that. And they would not repeat that during Darkest Night and Brightest Day, those titles. So, and here's 24. This is where the Sinestro Corps starts to invade New York. And then, in my opinion, maybe one of the best, if not the best, single issue of a comic made in the modern era. Here's Green Lantern 25. So actually I was going to make this video a little bit earlier, but I just ended up reading this entire book again. I'm actually going to take it out because, I mean, this is ultimate, this may be Jeff Johns' best writing ever. He's planting so many seeds for his future Green Lantern books, while just maintaining an excellent storyline here. So, I mean, and then the art, JLS wanted to see some interior pages, just the art of Ivan Rice and Ethan Van Sciver in this book is just mind-blowing. So it just starts off with splash panel after splash panel of just Green Lanterns and Sinestro Corps members taking out each other. So by the time this book rolls around, the Guardians have given the Green Lanterns the ability to kill as well, so they kind of have that same battle, or that same line of battle drawn in between them, so it's not completely lopsided. But there is one part, well actually I'll highlight this one too. This is kind of the first time you see all of the other colors of the corps highlighted, because they really haven't gone into this story at all yet. This is pretty much what the second half of the first volume of Jeff Johns' Green Lantern is going to be about, is the multicolor corps. But there is, sorry, I gotta keep showing splash panels. These are just so good. I believe this is the very first appearance of Larfleeze and Atrocitus and the rest of the corps, is this big panel right here. So, I mean, this is just so good. Sorry, I keep trying to start talking about something and I get distracted by the art. Anyway, I did want to talk about this next couple pages right here. So more or less, the Sinestro Corps, they're coming to Coast City, they're coming to New York and all the other major cities on Earth, because the Guardians, as they put it, Earth is the keystone to the galaxy in the DC universe. So if the Sinestro Corps wants, to start their operations up within the universe and be the major player in law enforcement, they've got to take over the keystone of the universe, which is Earth. So, of course, Sinestro, as dirty of a player as he gets, he's going to go to Hal Jordan's hometown of Coast City, which, if you guys remember, in this whole storyline, the Reign of Superman, Coast City got destroyed by, something unearthly. So, everyone's kind of fearing the same thing's going to happen again. So, what really puts this book, notches up for me, is there's a part where, Hal shows up to his family's apartment or condo or what have you, and he's more or less taking over the TV and using the local networks to tell everyone that they need to evacuate Coast City. And his brother's just like, why would we do that? And Hal's like, well, Sinestro's coming to destroy Coast City again. You've got to leave. And then here, I'll just read it. And he's like, you're asking us to run away. And of course, there's just so much other things going on. I mean, this is like his version of Return of the Jedi. There's just so many like awesome interlocking storylines going on, and these big battles. It's just crazy. So his brother's just like, I don't care. I'm not leaving. We came to Coast City because we believed in you. Why on earth would ever think you would change that? And he's like, hey, Hal, you got to look at this. He's like, someone's shining a green light out there. I guess someone else saw it and did the same. And, no one's leaving Coast City anymore. We've already done that. Coast City's already been destroyed. You failed us back then, but we know you're not going to fail us now. And I usually don't get too emotional ever reading comics, but this one this one, it's giving me tingles right now just talking about it. Just the fact that, the no fear that, the Green Lantern show is now reflecting on Coast City. And especially after what happened in the early 90s with it getting destroyed, the citizens of Coast City know that they're not going to let that happen again. And it's a very powerful moment. And in comic books anymore, it's kind of hard to reflect a powerful moment like that. And Geoff Johns does a phenomenal job, and as well as the artist too. Another splash page. So, this book is just excellent. So more or less, probably could guess how the rest of the story goes at this point. Now that the Green Lanterns have a little bit of momentum on their backs, they eventually defeat the Sinestro Corps. But it does take almost the whole. This is a double size. It pretty much takes the whole second half of this book to complete. There's parts like where they throw Warworld into Anti-Monitor to destroy his shield. And actually, you think they almost kill Cyborg Superman too, but of course they don't. So this is the rest of the Corps throwing a planet onto Earth to destroy Anti-Monitor and Cyborg Superman. So I thought that was pretty cool. And actually, there's a cool part here too. Like I said, there's so much going on in one comic book. It is an achievement, I think, by Geoff Johns. Here's a part where Cyborg Superman says thank you to the other Green Lantern Corps members because he thinks he's getting ready to die, and he wanted to thank them for killing him. So, like I said, there's so much good going on in this book. And there's also, I don't know which page it was on, there's also, like, virus-based Green Lanterns and Sinestro Corps members. And actually, on this page, Guy Gardner he's not really possessed, but infected by a Sinestro Corps member. And luckily, the Green Lanterns have a Green Lantern that is a virus. It says it's basically it says Lizalpan is a super intelligent smallpox virus and he wants justice. So I thought that was kind of a neat little side story, just because why not at this point? There's so many other crazy alien creatures and it's just insane. And then actually on top of everything else, they still got to get rid of Superboy Prime. So there is a splash panel of a Guardian sacrificing himself to transport Superboy Prime off of Earth because they know he's the most powerful being besides Anti-Monitor there. So like I said, every time I read this issue, I'm just blown away by how good it was. So after reading this issue, I was pretty much hooked on Green Lantern for life at this point. And anything Geoff Johns writes, I pretty much try to buy now. So if you guys are collecting this because it's the first Larfleeze and Atrocitus, do yourself a favor, get it out of your backboard and give it a read. Because, this is probably one of the top single issues I've ever read, ever. So, like I said, it is extremely good. So lastly, I'll kind of go through my short box here. I've recently, as I've started to make videos for this channel, I've started to collect some of the older stuff just because I'm a little burned out on modern age books, I'll be honest. So I bought this. I think I bought off Alex the Comic Hoarder. He was having a snup sale. This is a Green Lantern 16. His first appearance of Star Sapphire. This kind of broke my cherry, I guess, in terms of collecting older books and stuff like that. So I was just like, this is a pretty awesome book. I've got to get more of these. So since then, I'll just take out a handful real quick and show you guys some Silver Age Green Lantern, because who doesn't like seeing Silver Age books? And a lot of these aren't the greatest condition, but I'm still just very excited to have them. So here is Green Lantern 24. Number 28. And like I said, one of my goals is to hopefully complete this collection one day. Sorry, I know my fingers are covering that up a little bit. Shark goes on the prowl again. And then there's him fighting some dinosaurs in issue number 30. And then here is number 36. And most of these, unfortunately, I don't have a lot of options in terms of getting, older books around me. So I do have to go online and eBay and get a lot of these. And I don't think, besides the one I bought off of Alex, I don't think I've paid more than $9 for any of these issues. Probably closer to $5. And I'm extremely glad to have this one. Here's issue 40. I think it's the first time Hal Jordan and Alan Scott interact. Or at least appeared on the cover together. I'm not 100% sure, but I've always been eyeballing this cover, so I actually bought a whole lot just to get this one book. So, like I said, not the greatest condition. The back's all stained up, so I might try to upgrade this one day, but this is a perfectly good reader copy. Happy to have that. Then here's number 44, and like I said, most of these aren't the greatest condition, but I'll definitely take care of them for as long as they're in my possession. I just showed this in one of my previous videos, number 52. So once again, another one of those iconic covers. This is the return of the Sinestro in the Silver Age. I think his first appearance was Green Lantern 7. I think it's either 7 or 8. Actually, 8 might have been first Hector Hammond, 7 might have been first Sinestro. But anyway, after they had like a 10 or 12 issue arc where he was in and out of the book, and I think this is his big return to the book. And I believe this is number 63. I think this is the first Denny O'Neil on Green Lantern. He was the partner of Neil Adams on that famous run. But as soon as I saw Denny O'Neil worked on this, I think this is his first one. I kind of sought this one out, made sure this was in my collection. This is a pretty easy book to attain. It's not doesn't sell for too much on eBay, luckily. And then the following, I got a little bit of a run going on his stuff. So 64, 66. So somehow I skipped 65. I need to correct that problem. 67, 68, 69 with some sort of robot woman. And then the last one I'll show, because I'm running a little bit long here, as usual, sorry, number 70. So like I said, I think most of the rest of them I showed in a previous eBay pickups video, so you guys can go back and watch that. So that will conclude my contest video. Thank you guys so much for staying this long. And check out those channels, please. I'll link them all below. We need to get Lyndsey over 100 today. That shouldn't be too hard. It only takes one person. She'll probably be over 100 by the time this video's over. Sub up R. Wheatley. He's a very friendly, awesome guy. Seems very down to earth. I haven't followed his channel for too long, but the videos I have watched, he's a very pleasant guy and very generous too. Obviously, he's giving books away as part of this event. And then, of course, JLS Comics. Most of you, probably everybody watching this, is already subbed up to him. But if you guys haven't already, sub him up. I know I'll probably be watching his backlog of videos because he's got a lot of great, knowledgeable videos out there. Other than that, the last thing I want to talk about is I want to thank everybody. I've somehow, I don't even know why or how, I've gotten over 100 subs. So thank you guys so much. I'll be planning some sort of contest probably soon. I'm going to take a little bit of time to plan it, though. Maybe a couple days, maybe a week. We'll see. There's a lot of other contests going on now, but I think a lot of them cut off at the end of this week or have already cut off at the end of Easter. So I kind of want to do a little bit of a preview. I think what I'm going to do, I haven't decided what my contest rules are going to be yet. But I think I'm going to kind of rip off some of the other ideas I've seen, kind of put together a little bit of a box. Not this exact box, it was just laying around here for my last video. So I started to put a few like doubles of good stuff and a couple sign books I figured I'd just give to the community because I've been, through auctions and stuff, I've gotten a lot of great deals from the community, so I feel obligated to participate. So very glad to be doing that. So I'll probably be putting in a Green Lantern 95. Somehow I've gained 2 copies of this, so pretty clean copy. Nothing else too much special about it. I just like it because Green Arrow doesn't have his beard still for whatever reason. And on the previous issue, it was like a major point. He's like, where is his beard? Probably have a variant cover. Green Lantern #1, the Kupulu variant. Somehow I've accumulated 2 of these, so I'll probably throwing that in. God Hates Astronauts, I got a signed copy. I think we get another copy signed at C2E2 at the end of the week. So I figured why not throw this in. Signed by Ryan, and I guess personalized by Ryan Brown. He is a hilarious guy if you guys have not met him. He put like some sort of like hot dog shaped hat, or it's like a hat on a hat. So I thought that was pretty hilarious. I have 2 copies of, I think I just saved this from a 50-cent bin. Fantastic Four 67. Phenomenal Mark Waid Fantastic Four run. This is the beginning of another run I talked about in a previous video. Now, I'll skip these for now. I'll show more later. And then the last one, I think this is kind of going to, and I'll rebag this too, but I think this will be kind of like one of my top prizes or whatever. And I think I'm just going to give these all the way as one thing, and I'll describe later. Anyway, there's an Alex Ross signed book. I think I'm going to throw it in there too. So I know Alex Ross didn't make a ton of appearances anymore, but I have plenty Alex Ross signatures. I figure I'd give one of them up for this contest. At least that way there's something, in my opinion, that would be pretty cool to get for free out of all of this. So I'll probably be throwing this in as well. Other than that, thank you so much for watching. Like I said, check out all those channels. And other than that, have a good night.